Senator, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for being here. You are an elected official. Your constituents put you there. He's not an elected official. What's your response for him calling you a moron?
Yeah, well, good morning, Maria. Dr. Fauci obviously visibly shaking at those particular moments. Why does he protest so much? As a young physician myself, one of my mentors, an orthopedic surgeon, told me once a physician loses their reputation, they never get it back. Dr. Fauci's lost his reputation. He's lied to Congress again. As you pointed out, the highest paid federal employee in the government, over $400,000 a year. But even more than that, he oversees $5 billion of grants, including significant amounts to Wuhan, China via EcoHealth. Don't you think you'd like to know if he's getting any type of funds from Wuhan, China, or is it from the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party? Wouldn't you and your listeners like to know that? That's a question I get almost every day. Why Dr. Fauci's policies don't make sense? Why is it a vaccine-only policy? And they'll ask me, gosh, is he invested in companies that make vaccines? Is he invested in mask companies as well? So those are common questions I do think America deserves to know.
Well, this is just extraordinary, okay? This is absolutely extraordinary. We've got the vaccine makers, Pfizer and Moderna. They're going to generate $95 billion in the coming year or two on these vaccines. You're telling me he invested in the vaccine makers? And secondly, here we have Anthony Fauci under oath, testifying in front of your committee, testifying in front of Rand Paul a couple of times, and not telling the truth. We know now that he did push forth a grant to Wuhan. So pretty much taxpayers in America funded the COVID pandemic.
You know, you're exactly right, of course, Maria. You're on top of this. 59% of Americans don't trust Dr. Fauci. Every time he goes on television, the people that decline the vaccine just dig their heels in more and say, no, we're not going to do it. The other bombshell that we released yesterday was another viral gain-of-function research project that was denied by the Department of Defense, but Dr. Fauci funded via EcoHealth with Wuhan, China again. So he's lied again. We caught him in another lie. That's why he's visibly shaking at the end of both sessions of questioning.
Okay, but he's still there. He's still making his $500,000 a year. I mean, can you do anything about this? Is he ever going to be held to account for lying under oath? Isn't that a felony that comes with jail time?
You know, this is why the Democrats are going to be toast this fall, right? So in November, when Republicans get control back of the Senate, Rand Paul will be chairman of this committee that gets Dr. Fauci in front of us. So that's why we need the power of the gavel. That's why we have to get back control of the Senate. We can set the agenda. We'll have subpoena power. That's the only way to really address this. He's not an appointed member of the cabinet. He serves at the pleasure of the president. This president holds nobody accountable. He creates crises rather than solves them.
This is, again, extraordinary. You know, we'll see if you get the gavel, because your colleagues on the left want to jam through a voting bill that may very well arguably keep them in power forever. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer moving forward with the Democrats' federal election bills. He says he's going to use a Senate loophole to start debate on legislation. This main hurdle, obviously, is the 60-vote filibuster threshold, but Schumer is threatening that Monday there's going to be a vote to blow up that filibuster if Democrats don't get their way. Will they be able to get away with this?
Well, look, so far, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema standing tall once again in the face of the president, trying to represent their states, right? But you talk about hypocritical. 25 current senators signed a letter in 2017 begging the Republican Party to keep this filibuster, but now they're against it. And just to simplify things, when you hear the word filibuster, your viewers need to think about the Supreme Court. They want to get rid of the filibuster so they can control the Senate, so that they can make Puerto Rico and D.C. a state, and then pack the Supreme Court and federalize elections in their favor. It's very simple. The filibuster has worked great for years. It helps create more certainty, which businesses prefer.
I mean, I've never seen anything like this. This is like a dictatorship, Senator. What are you going to do about this other than wait for November? It is 299 days away from the November 8th election, by the way, for those of you counting at home.
Yeah, we're going to stick together, right? I've never seen the Republican Party so together, such a cohesive unit standing up to this. So number one is we're going to stand together. We're going to keep reaching out to Joe and Kirsten, and I think there's some others that understand. Those 25 senators that signed that letter before that are still in the Senate, how are they going to go back to their constituents in their states and explain in 4 years when we control the White House and both sides of the Capitol? How are they going to explain to them as they see legislation go in a different direction, correct? So we're going to keep fighting. We're going to make sure that Americans know that they're hypocrites.
It's just incredible. He's buying the stocks of the vaccine makers as he's forcing the vaccine down everybody's throats, and Joe Biden is putting mandates in place. Never seen anything like this, Senator. This will go down in history, in the history books, as one of the most shameful times for our country. Senator, we'll be watching the developments. Thanks very much. You should wear that moron comment as a badge of honor, sir. Senator Roger Marshall this morning in D.C. Thank you, sir. Quick.